Well, hello, YouTube. How you guys doing? Jared Fuller here. Here comes the cavalry. I got Dad and Amy off camera. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Out there. Somebody out there. Today is Sunday, March 29th, 2020. So here we are through another long week of quarantining and isolation, and people are going berserk because they can't handle staying home. Now in Michigan, I know that the stay-at-home executive order by Governor Whitmer is a moderate lockdown situation, which means that we're still able to leave home for the essential travel, like going to the grocery store, going to the hospital, going to the pharmacy, going to get the essential things that we need. But just to casually, go out on a Sunday drive, it's not something that would be recommended because the executive order in and of itself is not a recommendation. It's an order. That's why it's an executive order. A lot of states are also following suit with us, where if you get caught leisurely traveling, you can be fined or put in jail. But speaking of that, my dad and my cousin's wife kind of got into an argument last week about this because, and it makes sense. I understand the argument part of it because Dad, by what I understand, at least I was there to hear part of the argument. Dad was asserting that they can't put you in jail, and my cousin's wife was just pointing out that according to the news source, that they can put you in jail if you are out leisurely traveling when you don't need to be out. If you're not out for anything that is of importance or of necessity, they can put you in jail, or they can fine you, or both. So I understand how that argument erupted, because Dad was making an assertion instead of saying, well, I don't understand how. So I can understand the argument there, because...
Well, she ain't gonna be a bitch and think she
knows
everything too.
Well, but you were making an assertion, and she was grabbing the source from a news source. She was, she was trying to explain that she got that information from a news source. So that's what she was referencing. And so there's a bit of an argument there. But, I think this isolation stuff is driving us all a bit crazy. I got out for a little bit yesterday. We went up to the grocery store and got a few things. And, yeah, the toilet paper... gone still. We're still dealing with that, which I'm still trying to understand the corroboration between an upper respiratory infection and toilet paper. They're like a mile apart from each other. How is that? How do you connect the dots? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. But Michigan is the 15th state in the nation to be declared as a disaster zone, which, of course, makes sense because we have a lot of cases of COVID-19 here in the state of Michigan, and majority of those cases are in southeast Michigan, naturally, Detroit area, where the population density is higher than most other locations.
10,000 deaths
in
Italy.
Italy, okay, but I'm talking about Michigan. So Michigan, Detroit, of course, being the hot spot for Michigan because of the high density of population. But around here, I think Saginaw County has, at last check, I heard there's like 9 cases, but that number probably went up exponentially because of, there's people who, the hospitals are running short on the N95 masks and the PPE and things like that. And that's all we've been hearing about on the news for the past week. And it is a pandemic, and of course it's deserving of national and international attention, because we have to be proactive and not paranoid, as I pointed out last week. And I think the week before that, I don't quite recall because I don't go back and watch the old videos. Maybe I should, just so I don't reiterate old points, but I'm always reiterating and rehashing old points anyway, regardless if I watch old videos or not. You were going to say something. You're just itching to say something.
On your comment about the toilet paper?
Yeah.
From what I've understood, is you get the diarrhea also, like the flu.
Yeah.
Because the way they're talking is some of the symptoms are like the flu.
Like flu-like symptoms, yeah.
You're gonna use 50 rolls of toilet paper in your ass?
Yeah, I don't understand the panic buying in bulk. I don't.
Like that lady bought them to fill up that.
Your niece does it all
those
the
two
time.
trucks.
Tammy?
I would have loved to have a match and drop right in between all them toilet paper.
I mean, there's
trucks.
there's a fine point. There's a fine line between necessity and just being greedy. And what I'm seeing is an abundance of greed.
Greedy bastards.
There's people who have more than enough. They're not going to use all of it. They're not going to need all of it. They can give some of that to somebody else who might need it.
And then they sell it.
Yeah, and then they turn around and sell it. Really fucking immoral to profit at someone's expense, knowing that we're all in need of things, and you're going to turn $1 because, I don't know, you're greedy and you let money cloud your judgment. See, this is what I hate the most about Pan. He wants in. You're going to let him bark the whole time, or... This is what I hate about pandemics. It's not so much the fact that the country and the world is in chaos right now, and that we're all under a great deal of pressure and turmoil, but the fact that we have people who are constantly profiting at the expense of other people. I am sick of this shit. It's not just coronavirus. It's childhood cancer too, but we're talking about coronavirus right now, and you know, there's people out there everywhere, people who are looking to turn profit at the expense of someone's vulnerability, and I think it is absolutely appalling. There's another dog that wants in. You should have just stood up and waited. Dogs drive you nuts, but
Then you argue with the people.
I'm sick of
Went to the store, right, and
I'm sick of it all.
at the
Family Dollar.
Family Dollar, last two rolls
Yeah.
of toilet paper.
You're allowed up to 4. The limit is 4 at Family Dollar.
She went to the last 2 and somebody else was in there needed some. And she walked out with them, wouldn't even share them.
I'm sick of the greed. I'm sick of the...
Here's a package for you.
The ignorance is going to be the death of this country. I've been saying that for a long time, and my thoughts on that has not changed, not in the slightest. The ignorance and uneducation, and you know, that's going to be the death of America. Is people are too stupid to think. They don't apply logic and critical thinking and rational discourse to situations. They just panic, and we should all be paranoid. Well, I'm not paranoid. I'm not panicking, but I am concerned, which is different. It's a far cry from being panicked and paranoid. I'm concerned, and that's probably as far as it goes. I'm concerned enough to the extent that I know what's going on, and I know what I need to do to stay healthy and to help people who are in need of help, my neighbors and such. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But I'm not Superman. I don't have a Superman complex. I'm one person. I'm trying to take care of things here at home. And yes, I do show a concern because we do have a neighbor a couple houses down the road. They have a 14-month-old baby. So yes, I've been keeping in contact with them. I've been making sure that they have everything they need essential for the baby. But I'm not looking for the pat on the back either. I do it because I'm a neighbor, and that's what neighbors are supposed to do.
Special kind of milk, too.
The baby drinks lactated milk. But either way, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, not for a pat on the shoulder.
Neighbors.
Which, if you look on social media on Facebook, you know that the vanity vultures and the insecure people who are looking for a pat on the back all the time, you know they're out in full force and they're using this coronavirus to their benefit. It has nothing to do with you. It's all about them. And whether it be people from the childhood cancer world or not, everybody's got to be a hero. And I just think it's ridiculous. Just help people without expectation. Why is that so hard? Just because you don't hear about people doing good things doesn't mean that good things aren't happening. It's just that, you know, with mainstream media, when it bleeds, it leads. Well, good people are still out there. They just don't want the recognition for it, which potentially might make them even better for not wanting it. I don't know. Tell me. But I think I hear coffee brewing, but I have Pepsi in the fridge and my glass is empty.
Yeah, I think coffee's on.
There's a big hole in the bottom of my glass, so.
You want a cup of coffee?
I don't want coffee.
Okay.
I just drink Pepsi. I don't want coffee.
Pepsi.
Yeah, if you would be so kind, because I talk a lot and my throat tends to get a little bit scratchy. And no, folks, I don't have coronavirus. But seasonal allergies are also a problem, which is, I don't remember if I pointed this out last week, but if I did, who cares? I'll point it out again this week. We are in a time of the year now where it goes from warm to cold, warm to cold. Matter of fact, last night we had strong thunderstorms come through the area, and today it's extremely windy and it's not as warm, it's not as mild as it was yesterday. So this is playing a huge role in seasonal allergies. Now, I was out yesterday. If I was to step out on my porch today, or just to be outside for a little while, my allergies are going to flare up, which in turn causes sneezing and sniffling and coughing, but it's not coronavirus. It's seasonal allergies. And Dad has problems with his sinuses, his allergies. Amy has allergy issues, but she also smokes like a chimney. I just had to throw that in there. Not all of us have COVID. It's people, they're panicking and they're paranoid and they're afraid. And there was actually, and it's nothing to make light of, because there was actually someone, I was watching this on the news yesterday, someone from Mount Morris Township, which is out by Flint. They went to a Kroger store and they were deliberately sneezing and coughing on people, pushing carts, putting their hands on carts.
All the carts.
And he was charged with, that's a felony, according to what I heard on the news. And he's looking to do prison time because it's a pandemic and he's deliberately trying to cause issues for people. It's a crazy time right now, and everybody is out in full force trying to get what they can, and they're buying items up from underneath of one another. It is awful. There's people out there who really and truly aren't panic buying, and we're only shopping essentially and reasonably. We're not buying up the whole store. We're getting what we need or what we think we need to last us for a while. And when we need these items, when they're not readily available, that sets us back, because we're actually shopping reasonably and sensibly and not buying an abundance of everything when there's just no reason to do it. I don't get it.
And you leave enough for someone else if they need it.
You have to be proactive and not paranoid. That is the key issue here. I've been telling my friends all the time, because they're freaking out. Some of my friends are, in fact, freaking out. You have to be proactive, not paranoid. In spite of the fact that there's been an increasingly number of deaths in America, not just in Michigan, but in the country as a whole, you have to be proactive, not paranoid. That's the rule of thumb right now. People don't get it. You just let them in. But anyway, I am sick of hearing about coronavirus. I am sick of hearing about a lot of bad news. There was an actor who passed away. He was on Law and Order. He died as a result of the coronavirus. His name was, I think, Mark Blum. Dad, coffee. Gotta speak up. I think his name was Mark Blum.
That guy from it.
He was an actor from Law and Order. And we lost a Harlem Globetrotter, went by the name of Curly. He wasn't coronavirus related, but he had health issues separate from coronavirus. He didn't have coronavirus, as far as I know, but that wasn't the cause of his death. His nickname was Curly. He was 77, I think.
Yeah, he was up there.
So there's a lot going on in the world right now, and people have been text messaging me and messaging me on Facebook Messenger.
Tom Hanks and his wife are doing well.
Yeah, his wife Rita Wilson. But my friends have been messaging me, texting me, saying, "Hey, Jared, how are you doing? How are you holding up?" And I appreciate that. Thank you all very much for messaging me and giving me your email addresses and passwords for Netflix. And because they want me to watch this show called Tiger King on Netflix. I don't have Netflix. I never had an interest in Netflix. I really don't care about any of it because I just never got into it.
No, you get a 30-day free trial.
Yeah.
And they give you like a 3-day leeway if you want to cancel it.
Yeah.
But then if you don't cancel it, it's $9.99 a month.
Yeah. I have no interest or desire in wasting money like that. Well, yeah, there's shows that you can watch on Netflix that you can't watch on normal, regular broadcast television, but okay, then I'll just take my chances and miss out on it.
Yeah, Tubi, Tubi,
Yeah.
that is absolutely free, and you get a lot of the shows.
I've never heard of Tubi.
Yeah,
This is all new to me.
You get a lot of the shows that are on TV and all that. Yeah, I really like the Tubi. I like Netflix too.
Yeah,
I can't afford that.
I've never been keen on Netflix. I just never got into it. Everybody's talking about Netflix and Roku and Fire TV. I don't care about any of that
the
stuff.
Hulu, I don't understand that, so I ain't had.
I don't understand any of it.
My
Like
brother
to me, I could care less about any of it. But
My brother has Hulu.
But I-
Hulu, whatever it is.
I appreciate my friends who were sending me their email addresses and passwords to their Netflix accounts. I appreciate it. I just don't care for any of it. I'm not a Netflix guy.
Wait, get Scruffy up there by you.
Well,
What's he doing?
he just come in.
He's
You better knock
Doing-
it off.
doing what dogs do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I'm trying to get him away from him.
Yeah. But to my... Really?
Well, he's playing.
You threw it at me.
Well, yeah.
Well, you can see I'm talking.
Was that about it? Didn't hurt
Yeah. But I'm in like mid-sentence and you're interrupting me.
you. Okay.
But thank you to my friends anyway who sent me your email addresses and passwords for your Netflix accounts. It's much appreciated. I just don't watch Netflix. I'm just not a Netflix guy. We did have company, what was it, yesterday? Last night. And I keep trying to explain to people, the people who are coming over here, you're not supposed to be out visiting. You're not supposed to be out enjoying leisure travel. You're not supposed to. That is against the order. And they've even said it on the news. If you're found in violation of this executive order by the governor, you can be in trouble. They're handing out tickets. They're putting people in jail, which Dad and my cousin's wife had that argument. But there's punishment.
Give me a warning first.
There's a punishment for that.
Yeah.
They're telling you to stay home for a reason because we are facing a global pandemic and we're trying to starve it, not feed it. and everybody has to do their part and, you know, follow the rules. How was your week?
Boring.
How about you?
I'm not really.
Sleeping a lot.
Me, drinking Pepsi when I have it. That's always fun.
What else is there to do
Yeah,
besides sleep?
that's just the thing. There's really nothing much else to do.
Maybe walk up and down the road when it ain't raining and it ain't
Yeah,
cold.
it was pouring rain last night.
The thunder.
It thundered a little bit. I saw a couple flashes of lightning out my bedroom window.
Jay and Krista were coming from where? Owasso last night, Wayne? Jay and Krista were coming from Owasso last night, correct?
He's on his phone.
Anyway, Jay called Dad and told Dad, it's lightning out, bad. And I think they were headed home.
It's usually a natural occurrence with a thunderstorm, but that's very observant of you.
I didn't see the lightning.
I
All
did.
Heard was the thunder.
I saw a couple flashes of lightning out my bedroom window. I was sitting I was kicked back in my room watching television, and I could see the lightning flashing through the window.
That must have been after I went to bed.
Yeah. Yeah, the thunder rumbled for a little bit. Wasn't too loud, but it was loud enough to where you could hear it. I guess out in Illinois, I think central Illinois, they had active tornado warnings. I don't know if there were any touchdowns, but I know there were active tornado warnings. And Illinois, just being the state to the southwest, you know, Chicago is just like right over there, straight down I-94. A little too close for home for us, anyway. But
We've dealt with tornadoes enough around here.
yeah, we're in Michigan has its own tornado alley, and we're right in it. We're right in the middle of it.
We've dealt with enough tornadoes around here.
Yes, Dad. You have to pay attention when people talk. He's got his face buried. Wow, you're like he's a grown teenager. He's a Dick Clark.
He used to yell at me for being on my phone all the time.
My dad is officially a Dick Clark, the world's oldest teenager. Because what do all teenagers do? They got their faces buried in their cell phones. But I'm not a teenager, and I don't have my face buried in my cell phone.
That's like me.
Okay, we won't go there. But we want to keep it. I know, but we want to, you know. Anyway. I don't know what well, this is the last Sunday of March. And, oh yeah, April begins on Wednesday. So, yeah. So I'll be keeping my eye on you. April Fool's Day, Dad always tries to get me with a joke.
Yeah,
and
he's always trying to get me, and usually he does.
Yeah, because with you it's easy to do.
Tell everybody to check their cards. Their food stamp cards.
Oh, I don't know. But it's really, even with all this going on with the pandemic and everything, I hope it doesn't ruin or tarnish the April Fool's. You know, people want to joke and be happy and have a sense of humor. By the way, the pandemic itself is no joke. It's no laughing matter. Although I've made jokes, you know, like here in Michigan, the city is Owasso. You know, I've mentioned Owasso quite a bit. Well, there's another city next to that called Corunna. And I made the joke that the people of Owasso, I fear for them because they might have the coronavirus. And, no, they have the coronavirus. Don't ruin my joke. But it has resonated. I mentioned it to a friend of mine, and then they passed it on, and it's circulating Facebook as far as I know. But it's just to take the edge off and not be so paranoid about everything. You know, it's like the word COVID. I don't know what the 19. I haven't really done the research into that, but for example, we have another town in Michigan called Ovid. The name of the county that Ovid is in is Clinton. So C-Ovid, COVID.
19.
I don't know what the 19 means, but that was another kind of a thing I came up with last night, and
I know. COVID. In the year they had this
2019.
last year, so they know they had a case in 2019.
Last
so
year.
CO-19.
CO.
19.
Okay, but what's CO?
Like you just said,
Clinton, Ovid 19.
19 because.
But it didn't originate in Ovid.
No, but coronavirus was CO-19. They had a case in 2019. They never.
I don't know.
About.
I don't know.
But why didn't they fix that in 2019 if they had a case of it?
I don't know.
They should have done something about it.
Anyway, we're going off topic, but anyway,
We're getting past it.
there's even been, if you've been watching the news, President Trump has been going knuckle on knuckle with our governor, Gretchen Whitmer. They've been kind of attacking, or he's been attacking her in tweets.
And she was attacking her.
And she was attacking him, but in response to his attack. She wasn't just making cheap shots out of nowhere like Trump does.
He's trying to help the people, and it seems like he's trying to against us.
And it's all about ego. It's all about having his ego stroked, and there's a lot of egocentricity going on. At the height of tragedy, we have people who care more about making themselves look good. I keep pointing this out. Why doesn't anybody see that? Why doesn't anybody see it? I've been saying this for how long? Oh, but we don't listen to Jared because Jared's talking out of his ass. No, I'm fucking not. And there's proof, there's evidence that I'm not. If you pay attention, you would know that yourselves.
So far, what I've heard, I do not know how true it is, but Trump is winning over everybody again.
Well, yeah.
He always has.
It's the election year.
He's.
It's the election year. He wants to look good.
I'm not political.
Get in there.
I'm not political. Okay? I've said this any number of times in any number of weeks in the Sunday video. I'm not political at all. I'm not a Democrat nor a Republican. I could really care less about politics. But at the same time, we're at the height of a global pandemic. There's people who are dying from this. And if we're going to include or involve politics into all of this, I think it should be a bipartisan effort and not just a one side, either Republican or Democrat. It should be a bipartisan effort, which means both parties together on equal ground, equal footing, no bickering, no fighting, because Trump is a Republican and our governor is a Democrat.
But what gets me is
There should be some bipartisanship happening here.
when all this stuff started, they had an age limit,
An age demographic,
Yeah.
like a particular age group is more susceptible to elderly or children. No, we all are
Everybody.
equally across the board.
Yeah, it don't have to be it was a baby that just died the other day.
A 1 month old had passed away from
There was
COVID-19.
a newborn too.
Yeah,
He was just.
So
They were just
whoever
born.
says
And they
that's
found
an
out
age
they.
between 30 and 65 or whatever, they're out of their fucking mind because there's babies dying.
yeah. There is no particular age demographic associated with this. We're all subject to it.
Same thing with cancer. There's no fair age on that.
No,
Everybody gets it.
however, and this is what I don't remember if I mentioned this last week, but I'm going to say it this week, which I'm glad you brought up childhood cancer, because childhood cancer has been around for centuries. It has been a global pandemic for centuries. It was discovered back in the 1800s.
Leukemia and all that shit.
Wilms tumor, I know for a fact because I've done the research. Coronavirus has only lasted a week, or a little over a week, or at least that we know of anyway. It's been in the national international news spotlight for a week. Everybody's so aware and just conscious about germs and scrubbing and washing and all this, that, and the other.
They spend billions and billions.
Why?
Of dollars
Okay,
on it.
where's the concern for childhood cancer?
Exactly.
It's been around for centuries.
Yep.
So I want to know, and I hate to use childhood cancer. I hate to cling on to the coattails of coronavirus to make a point about childhood cancer, but childhood cancer has existed for centuries. Coronavirus has been in the news for the past week and a half. Where's your outrage about childhood cancer?
Where's all the money that they could have used for research for that? But they're also finding. But I also did read that there is no cure for it.
For
There's medicine they can give it to you.
coronavirus?
Coronavirus. There is no cure for it. There's medicine they can give you to help you.
Well, I just read
but there's no cure.
I just read a post, or not a post. I'm sorry. It was an article from the actual CDC website, which, by the way, CDC and the WHO and the FDA, they've been around forever too, since the early 1900s. But I read a piece on the CDC website that says there is no vaccine currently available for coronavirus. And now that's the CDC.
There's no.
That's all evidence-based information.
They give you medicine to make you feel better. Is all. And hope
And I was just having this talk with a friend of mine because their child has to go in for checkups like I used to. And they can't, the parents couldn't understand or find a way to explain to their child, hey, this is what you have to do, in order to make sure that the cancer didn't come back, or if you have, if they have the tumor stable or whatever. What they don't understand why they have to keep going back for checkups. Where I, on the other hand, it had taken me a long time to understand that myself, because every time we go to East Lansing, it was never for anything good. It was never for anything that wouldn't hurt. Needles and feeling uncomfortable, feeling the discomfort level up when they're pushing down on my gut with the transducer from x-rays and ultrasound. Well, be ultrasounds, not x-rays. I've had echocardiograms. I've had all that stuff done. And there's a kid who doesn't understand, why do I have to keep getting poked? And this is what I understand. This is what I know to be a fact. And this is how you should look at it. Doctors are medical investigators. Because every time they poke you with a needle, every time they order a test, whether it be an ultrasound, an x-ray, an echocardiogram, an electrocardiogram, doesn't matter what the test is, every time they order up a test, that is a tool in discovering what's going on inside your body. What they do is they gather the information, which there's evidence to come from the tests, which they are checking to see if there's anything of concern that they have to be aware of. Now, this is what we know, is that when the people conduct these tests, that information, the evidence that comes from the tests, that gets passed on for the other people, the labs and all the other people to examine, like when they draw your blood. They take the vial of your blood and they kind of do the flip and they hold it under a light and see if there's any discoloration or anything of concern. Then they record their observations, in which they pass on to the doctor or the oncologist to pass on to the families. This is what we found. That's really what doctors are. They are medical investigators. It's, okay, Dr. Scott, for example. Of course, like all oncologists, doctors, people in the medical field, they go to school to study, to get their degrees and things like that, their credentials and their medical certificates and things like that. The information that they're being taught was passed down by scholars, who print that information in the texts. Now, that information that the scholars receive comes from the people in the community of people who are examining and researching these things, and they all come to what's called a peer review, where they all have to have an agreement. They have to come to the same conclusion, and when they come to that conclusion, they record their observations, pass those observations down to the scholars. The scholars print the information. That's where our doctors and medical professionals get their information. I kind of know how it works, because it's all evidence-based. It's all evidence-driven. With the CDC, now with the coronavirus, it's no different. All that information is researched. It's investigated. There's evidence determining what's true and what's not. What are you showing me?
It's something that just popped up on my news channel.
Michigan could see more than 4,000 coronavirus deaths, according to a study. Okay, so speaking of, this is from the Detroit Metro Times. Okay, so I'm guessing it's I don't know if it's an actual newspaper or if it's an online source, but the U.S. could see 81,000 deaths due to the coronavirus and more than 4,000 here in Michigan, according to a University of Washington study. Now, that is a university study, which means that there's people actually conducting research, and the evidence is showing that there is a trend occurring, that everything's increasing exponentially, which means that there is a growing rapid trend. That's evidence-driven. Amy just handed it to me, and I just read it to you.
That's why I handed it.
Yes.
Here we are talking about the coronavirus, and then this just popped up on my phone.
So, this is nothing new. This is nothing exclusive. It's existed for any number of years.
Excuse me. My brother is actually an on-the-road truck driver. Mm-hmm. And he's been going through, some of his movie channels. They've already made movies of this.
Yeah, I know. They're
way back in the 80s.
They're making documentaries. Like, I just watched a documentary the other night about the coronavirus, and where it originated, how it all got started. Okay. But here's the thing that you have to consider too. People are saying, you got to cover your mouth when you cough. When you sneeze into your arm, like I do. And people they're writing this off as a conspiratorial, where they're just trying to scare the hell out of it. No, if you have a firm understanding and education of physics, then you would understand that when you sneeze, those droplets that come out of your fucking nose, they are lingering in the air. They live in the air. It lives in the air. It travels. That's why they're telling us to stay 6 feet apart from each other, although it's overspread thousands of miles compared to 6 feet. But even still, they're telling you to stay at least, maintain a distance of at least 6 feet apart from one another.
That is living proof, Jared, because how could the Navy get it when they're always out on the ocean? They never come in.
Yeah.
They live out there.
Yeah.
On the ocean, how did so many of those Navy people get sick?
Yeah.
The personnel. So it's got to be coming in the air.
Yeah. There's germs
thousands of miles.
There's germs and there's a reason why human beings have nose hair. There's a reason we have hair in our ear. There's a reason why our ears create wax. Because it's a defense against germs and bacteria getting into your system. That's why we have those things. It is a what do you call? It's a proactive, it's a self-proactive system. Our body is, which is why, like for example, kidneys, they filter the blood in your body against disease and infections and things like that. Which is why, because I have one kidney doing the job of two, and the chemo and radiation that I had as a child had weakened my immune system, like pureed it to jello practically. So I am highly susceptible. That's why I mentioned seasonal allergies. Especially during the summertime when we go for walks down the road, you can see the pollen in the air. And it's just coming off there. It almost looks like snow. That's how thick the pollen is in the country. And boy, do I feel it.
And we walk in between pine trees.
Yeah, we've got rows of trees on both sides of the road down here.
Yeah.
And it gets really bad. And the allergies season is in full swing as well. Like I had mentioned, seasonal allergies. We all deal with seasonal allergies. But the look I get when I cough or when I sneeze in public now,
Oh yeah.
Jared, that guy over there, they don't even necessarily have to know my name, but that guy over there, he's coughing, he's sneezing. Phew. Yes, seasonal allergies. It's not COVID.
Like that lady we talked to yesterday at Frank's supermarket.
Yeah, and she, oh yeah, that's right. The
Health.
she's a home health.
Yeah.
She is in the medical field. She's a frontline worker, and she's an essential worker, is what they're calling them now. They've always been essential, not just now with coronavirus. They've always been essential.
They've always helped.
Okay, but I did tell her that we owe her. We are in a great debt of gratitude to her for all of the work and putting her life out there. You know, not ever knowing if she's bringing something back home to her family,
Get checked.
and it's really it's a crazy time right now.
They had to check her for it. She
Yeah.
didn't have it.
Now the reason I haven't been tested, first of all, I don't want to waste anybody's time. If I'm not feeling symptomatic of the coronavirus, there's no reason for me to be tested for it. And I don't want to waste somebody else's time who are actually experiencing those symptoms. I don't want to take away from them or have a test wasted on me if I'm not, if I'm not feeling the symptoms. If those people are, I would only recommend or at least assume that they get the treatment first. They be tested first. Now,
Jared, now that you're talking about that, the corona.
yeah.
What about that young boy, that 17-year-old boy that died because they turned him down?
Yeah, and
That's
they
pretty bad.
they turned a 17. Now, see, I would talk more about that. I would extrapolate on that more, but I don't know the circumstances.
But he
I'm
didn't
sure
have
there's.
insurance. They told him he didn't have insurance, so they turned him away. They told him to go to this other hospital. Before he got to this other hospital, he died.
Walking.
Walking, yeah.
That's
He was
awful.
walking and everything. He wanted to get checked for it, and they said, "We don't have insurance, so we can't check you." Therefore, they sent him to this other hospital. Before he even got there, he died.
I thought I heard
17
something.
years old.
I thought I heard something about that.
Just because you didn't have an insurance.
Maybe it was you. I don't
Yeah,
recall.
Just because he was 17 and didn't have insurance, they turned him away.
But it's
That's sad.
people need to also realize, like I said, you have to be aware and conscious of evidence. Evidence is going to tell you what's going on. It doesn't matter if it's coronavirus, childhood cancer, doesn't matter. Evidence is essential. They are investigating around the clock. And anytime you hear President Trump talking on TV, anytime you hear your state governor talking on television, it's not necessarily about arguing. It's about them discussing what has been determined as factual. They can confirm and demonstrate the facts of the claims with evidence to back it up. I am an evidence guy. I'll admit. I love truth. I love the fact that people get proven wrong when they try to make somebody else look awful. Because evidence is going to tell you everything that is the truth.
Now they're saying that come from bats.
I don't know.
I think they really know, because 1 minute it was a bat, the next minute it was a snake.
I heard it was man-made, but there's all different corroborating, conflicting stories, and they all conflict. They all conflict. They're in conflict with one another. I don't know. I don't know what to believe. That's why I don't place my chips on one, claim, because I don't know. I'd be taking a big risk or a big gamble by passing on information that may not be accurate.
Right.
And accuracy is important. But I'm talking a lot. But I'm explaining how this works. You don't have to be a medical professional to understand how evidence and rational discourse and critical thinking is imperative to our everyday life. You don't have to be an expert on that. You just got to have a brain. You got to have an understanding, a firm understanding of what's going on.
See, that's my problem with this coronavirus. I have no knowledge to understand it.
I mean, it's a lot to take in at once. It's a very complex virus, and there's a lot to understand. They tell you to drink warm water, stay hydrated because it kills the bacteria.
I've even heard lemons,
Yeah.
oranges, stuff like that would end up helping it too.
Yeah.
Like your vitamin C and all that.
Yeah.
Stuff can build up the immune system.
Yeah. It's and I'm actually surprised that the shelves have not cleared of like your Powerade, your sports drinks,
Yeah.
because those have electrolyte. It boosts your electrolytes or whatever. They have or they have electrolytes in them. You know what I mean? Like when you get drunk, when you have a hangover, they tell you to drink Powerade because it's got the
It's got the salt in it.
yeah, and the electrolytes. It helps to clear up the hangover. I've done it and it works. I'm surprised more people haven't been buying the sports drinks, the Powerade and the Gatorade,
I know
things like that.
it's the water.
Yeah.
We
There,
got a big bottle of water, so we ain't got to worry about it.
there's so much to go over, and there's a lot of ground to cover. There's a lot of territory to cover, and there's people, like I said, there's people I've been talking to. They cannot stand sitting home because it drives them crazy. Amy's got her hand raised. It drives her crazy. I'm used to it. I'm a homebody. It doesn't bother me.
Well, I've even noticed where you and I, with having bipolar, we have to, with the crisis right now, we have to try to cope and deal with it.
There's a lot of agitation.
We're snapping at each other.
We have been kind of barking at one another back and forth, but there's a lot of agitation, and it's so thick you can cut through it with a knife. It's because we're constantly home. We're being told not to leave, and
you figure I ain't been out since before all this started, so
I'm doing my best to stay educated on situations. I've been doing the research. I've been looking at the Michigan.gov website. I've been looking at the CDC and the WHO and all the
knowledge that you got.
And being a childhood cancer survivor, I understand isolation and quarantine. There's no great leaps or bounds for me in this area because I'm used to being isolated and keeping to myself anyway. Now, when I was a baby, we had no choice. We had to stay home, and we had to tell people don't come around. That was when we lived on Chapin Road. And I'm talking to Dad, but he thinks I'm... Yeah.
Everything just stopped us.
Yep. And I mean, evidently we had to have known about the CDC back then because we always kept the house disinfected. Yep. It smelled like pine. It smelled like bleach. It smelled like I don't know, anything. Lysol, Pine Sol, Clorox. Mom had to keep every inch of our house disinfected and sterilized, and that was what she had to do because they let me come home, and I still had the port. I still had that the access. Mom had to keep the port clean, the area around the port.
I think it was more scarier having you home.
Yeah.
Than being in the hospital.
And
because we had to constant worry about what
yeah.
happened in the home.
And the thing is, my port did get infected. There was a pocket of pus that was inside the area where the port was, and Mom naturally freaked out. She's like, "Oh my God, what do I do?" And Mrs. Fuller, this kind of thing happens all the time. It's bound to happen sooner or later. You did nothing wrong. We see and hear about these kinds of things all the time. He's going to be fine. We got him. But even still, a parent is going to panic. They're going to worry. You know, it does no good for me to sit here and say, don't be scared. If you're an oncology parent, it does no good for me to sit here and say, don't be scared, because then I'd be a hypocrite if I said that. When I'm talking to the general public, the people who are not dealing with immunocompromised immune systems and they don't have pre-existing medical conditions, I'm talking to those people who are out there fucking panic buying and getting toilet paper up to the ass, literally and figuratively, from the floor to the ceiling. There's no reason for that. And she's itching to say something else, so I'm going to turn the floor over to her.
Well, talking about people.
Yeah.
Calling people and stuff, checking on them.
Yeah.
I got a shocking text last night.
A shocking text.
Yeah.
From whom?
My son.
Oh.
How you doing? What's up?
Oh, you know, life on the back burner is just lovely.
But I was shocked.
That's how I feel.
I don't think he was working, because they shut all the casinos down.
Yeah, a lot of places are shut down.
And he's working at a casino up north, so you'd think that one would be...
Probably Kuwaitan or
Probably not.
Little River.
He's not working at a casino.
No, it starts with a P. Pink County or something like that.
No, they're not working at. He's not.
There's no casino in Pinconning.
Casinos are shut down.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think he's working right now. He's security guard.
I think there's Little River, or I know there's Kuwaitan. There's Little River.
Maybe it's not completely up there.
Because the only casino near Pinconning would be Eagles Landing, and that's in Standish.
Yep, and it's all closed.
Yeah.
That's where...
Yeah, that's in Standish. That's that way. It's not that way. It's actually that way.
But yeah, he come right out and he says to me...
I think all the casinos are
When he
closed.
found out about the job, he says, you know, Mom, I hate to say it, but I got to come down all the way to almost Michigan just to work.
Almost to Michigan? Who said that?
My son Josh.
Where does he live?
Way up there by the Michigan,
That is Michigan.
by Lake Michigan, and
That's still Michigan.
okay.
When we went to see him, you mean up by the bridge? That's still Michigan.
Oh, okay.
That's all Michigan still.
But yeah, he comes from there
Yeah,
all the way down here just to work.
yeah. So he's not leaving the state. He's still in the state.
Yeah.
Just a whole bunch of different counties in between.
Yeah. And then it's trying to figure out whereabouts he's at.
Yeah. Yeah, and I did shave my head again, for those of you who probably just didn't know or just didn't dawn. Oh, something's different about Jared today. Yeah, I shaved my head. I wanted shorter hair again. I might keep it short like this, throughout the summer. Because, listen, this pandemic is going to pass.
Yeah.
It's going to go away. I don't know when. Nobody knows when. But if we all cooperate and follow the rules and just do what you're told.
If y'all want it to disappear real quick, stay home.
Yeah, we're all urging each other to stay home, and the governor is not recommending it. She's ordering it, and
You can't even go in the pharmacies anymore. They bring it up to curb.
yeah, they bring it out to your car. Like Dad had an appointment in Saginaw last week, and I couldn't go with him. He had to go by himself, and they brought out his prescription to him right out to the car. Were they wearing masks?
Some of them were. The nurses were.
Were they wearing their gloves?
Yep.
Yeah, that's all mandatory. And it's...
Mine that delivered it to the house was wearing black rubber gloves.
They were wearing black gloves at Frank's yesterday because we went to the grocery store.
Yep.
And now they have new closing hours, 7 o'clock instead of 9. I don't know, from now until, actually the new hours went into effect yesterday until further notice. They will now be closing at 7 o'clock. And the deli will be closing at 5 o'clock. This pandemic has just really knocked this country, the whole world, not just America, but the whole world. It just knocked all of us for a tailspin. I have a feeling that we'll be okay, and I hope I'm not wrong. And because there's people who just, I'll put it this way. Now that you realize that your way of life, your daily way of life, where you can just casually go here, go there, eat here, eat there, visit with this person, visit with that person, now that it's been taken away from you, now you realize how much you actually miss it. Now, and I don't know necessarily who watches my videos. I don't know if, I know my enemies for sure watch my videos. I don't know if any of my friends do. But just so you know, a lot of the time I feel like I've been put on a back burner. And if I've made you feel that way, I apologize. I really and truly apologize. I'll try to be better at keeping in contact with friends, and I'll make sure that I have to make time for my friends. They make time for me. I'm going to return the favor. But after all this is said and done, I want for all of you to understand and realize that this, all these things that we've taken for granted, I hope you never take it for granted ever again. Because next time we have a pandemic, and I hope there is no next time, but if there is a next time, I hope it's not worse than this, because it may get to the point where nobody can leave home for anything. I don't know how that would work.
Now, I got something to say.
But be thankful. Don't take it for granted.
I got something to say. Y'all think it's hard doing all this? Try being a veteran that was overseas and had to stay there and never came home. Think about that. Never got to see their family again. If you just do what they say, then you will be fine.
Well, of course, with this being a health issue, I can only go back to what I know about isolation and quarantine, and that is childhood cancer. That's what I keep going back to. And it just, these people who are going stir crazy, I can't stay home, I can't do this anymore, they're whining and complaining and bitching and belly aching, but now you're kind of getting a bird's eye view of what oncology families go through on the daily when they have to keep their kids home and inside the house. Like I said, this isn't there are no great leaps and bounds for us because we're used to it. We're very familiar with that. But you people who are whining and complaining because, I can't go outside, I can't go, you know what? Walk a day in our shoes. That's all I'm saying. Just walk a day in our shoes. You know what it's like. As a matter of fact, I don't want you to walk a day in my shoes. I don't want you to be in that position where you live in constant fear for your life, including your children's lives. I don't want that on anybody. I don't wish on anybody. But now you're getting a bird's eye view of what an oncology family has to go through. And I've been pointing this out for a long time. That we are, and the word demographic, I'm noticing that more and more people are starting to use the word, and they're taking notice of that word demographic because childhood cancer, the population has always been a subjugated demographic of people. We're not a community. It never was a fucking community. I'm glad that people are starting to realize that for what it is, and they're chucking the word community out the fucking window, because it's not a community. I'm sorry, it never was. Now, in the beginning, when I started advocating, I was a bit naive, and I used to call it a community, that we're all in this together. No, it's not a community. It's just because of the way people treat each other, the way they've treated me, and, a community doesn't do this to each other. It's not a fucking community. So I'm happy to see that there's people who have chucked that into the trash, and a lot of advocates and activists are using the word demographic, which I pointed out a long time ago. Not taking credit for that, but I'm glad that more and more people are starting to wake up to this and realize this. And, thank you for proving my point. But coming from that place in my life, I can honestly and openly talk about things like that. And so can Dad, but he would rather not because it's painful. a lot of painful memories. But I've been saying this for a good many years. A friend of mine actually pointed out that we're not a community, because a community doesn't write off their own people as not part of it. Well, I'm always going to be what do I call a plus one. I'm always going to have part in that head count because my case, Wilms tumor, was included in the National Wilms Tumor Study Group. Were you aware of that?
Yeah.
That my case
Yeah.
was involved in the National Wilms Tumor Study Group?
Yeah.
Dr. Scott told me about that.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And I'm glad that, my case is being added or included out there somewhere. There was even a point when my oncologist thought I had a condition called Marfan syndrome because of my long fingers. I can do that with my thumbs. I can make my thumbs go all the way across my hand. I don't know if you guys can do that, but I have long digits, and they thought I had Marfan syndrome, but it's actually genetic. My height and my arm span being taller than my actual height, they had a concern about that. Potential heart issues with Marfan syndrome. I don't have Marfan syndrome, it's just genetic. But I do have a narrow chin and a narrow kind of a head.
Well, I do too.
Again, it's genetic. I get it from my dad.
So is your brother.
And, well, I don't know. They kind of take after Mom.
Yeah.
Jay takes after Mom. Wayne takes after his mom. I take after you a lot.
Yeah.
And if you can't see the resemblance between my father and I, then I suggest you get a good pair of contacts or glasses.
Yeah.
Because I look just like my dad. A spitting image of my father.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, us Fullers are pretty handsome fellas,
Motherfuckers, ain't we?
Yes, we are. Don't mind if I say so.
Questionable.
Oh, Amy says that's questionable. Hey, Amy, fuck you.
Hey, I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about Dad.
Hey, but I said us Fullers, and you said, well, that's questionable. Oh, I see how you are.
Yeah. My kids take after me.
But, as you can
Mine
see,
took after me.
this is how we handle our isolation and quarantining and stay-at-home stuff. We joke and laugh about things, and
Have to joke about things.
like Amy pointed out, we've kind of been barking at each other. We snap each other, but it's the agitation of sitting home all the fucking time.
That's why sometimes you'll notice I'll escape to my room with my phone or my tablet.
Yeah, and I'll go to my room and I'll shut the door and I'll watch TV.
I know at that time we're bickering or whatever.
And I'll listen to music,
Yeah, that's what I do.
or I'll write in my journal, which I've been doing a lot of that lately. But I think it's every household. It's not just ours. It's every household. There's people who are driving each other crazy,
Yep.
and
Can you imagine having 5 kids or more?
it's a
during
lot.
this,
It's
and
a lot.
Have them all running around the house
Well,
fighting and.
I have a friend. She lives in Texas, and I'm not going to mention her name, but her husband thinks he's invincible. That just because he can go to work and he can go anywhere he wants, and she's getting aggravated by him because he won't listen to directives when they are telling people, do not. If you do not go. If you don't have to leave home, don't right now because it's not a good time. And he thinks he's Superman. It's this alpha male mentality. I even see this in the childhood cancer world. Activists and advocates with their so-called organizations and societies. They have this alpha male attitude. They think they can take on the fucking world by themselves because they're Superman. No, you're not. Follow the fucking rules like everybody else. Anyway, were you saying something? because I think I cut you off. I don't remember. I'm just getting carried away.
I don't even remember what I was talking about.
But it's the 5 kids, a family with five, having the 5 kids.
But Heidi and Elwood,
Yeah.
you know, and if they're not able to go outside.
Heidi works all day, and I was the one staying home with the kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Driving him nuts.
I understand that. But having all 5 of them kids stuck in that house,
Yeah.
I'd hate to be their parents.
It's Elwood's getting gray hairs.
See, actually, they can go outside.
Yeah, I mean, you can go out. Like, it's a moderate lockdown situation, which is something else I point out. You can go for walks. Like, you can walk the dog. You can go for a walk down the road. You can be in your own yard. You can be outside the confines of your house. That's what our governor is saying anyway. I can't speak for other states, but here in Michigan, Governor Whitmer said that we can walk the dog, we can enjoy the outside, we can go outside and get air or whatever, but to get on the motorcycle or to hop in the car and drive, we can't do that.
I thought we could up until a certain time, is what
No.
Dad was saying.
We're allowed, like the essential travel, we're allowed to. I don't know about late at night unless you're going to a hospital.
That's what I was thinking.
Because
Yeah.
hospitals are 24/7. They have to be.
Right. Well, didn't you hear on the news, Wayne, that they were stopping everybody at night instead of so much during the day?
Yeah, because during the day, a lot of people have to go to grocery stores and stuff like that, the doctors and stuff.
Yeah.
They're more or less stopping them like at probably 10, 11 o'clock at night because they know all the stores are closing.
Well, see, that's why a lot of your stores.
Because that's when the stores close at 11.
That's why a lot of your grocery stores and big department stores, usually especially the ones that are typically open 24 hours, the reason why there's closing times now is because it gives our frontline workers, the employees and the grocers, the truckers, the people who bring in the shipments of the items, the products that we use, it gives them a chance to stock. It gives them a chance to disinfect the shelves, wipe everything down. It gives them a chance to breathe, generally speaking. It gives them the opportunity to restock, to breathe, to wipe everything down. That way, come the next day, people will be able to get their items. But the truckers, I owe them a great debt of gratitude. Because they're working around the clock tirelessly, and they're making sure that we're.
Grocery store people.
My brother says that, let's say you come to a toll pole booth, they're giving you a green light to just let you go through if you're a semi-driver.
Yeah.
Instead of
like at the wait stations where they tell you to.
Yeah.
Because usually, under normative circumstances, by law, you're required to stop at all the wait stations.
Yeah. Some of them just get away with going.
Yeah, they just say, "Well, we know what's going on. You're shipping. You've got places to be. You have a shipment. You got a certain time. Just go ahead."
The only thing that my brother has complained about the most with all this going on is how much you got to clean the back of your semi, the trailer part. Where the produce and all, because they deliver produce. So, like he says, you be bringing watermelons, you got to disinfect that whole truck with bleach and everything.
Yep.
Before you go and get this truckload of lettuce.
Yep. Everybody's germ conscious and sanitation conscious now.
He says, you know how hard that is to wipe down with your hands.
But I just don't understand, why now? Because if they've never done it before the coronavirus, now I'm starting to wonder if that's why they're having all these recalls on foods, because they're shipping our items in contaminated or filthy fucking conditions, which is making everybody sick.
My brother has literally unloaded his semi, his trailer,
Yeah.
and found frogs in his trailer that have jumped in there and been a hitchhiker.
It's like these people who don't they've heard of the FDA, but they don't know what their functions are. Let me educate you on something. Every time you go to the grocery store, the FDA had something to do with that. They approved it. You know, when you go to the grocery store and you buy food, that has to be approved by the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. Before they even ship it, it has to be approved by the FDA. Every time.
Yep.
The WHO, the World Health Organization, they're, you know, the World Health Organization, they, you know, they talk about the coronavirus and pandemics and things like that. Yes, that is their specialized area of expertise. That's what they're there for.
Where before they used to be able to just use soap.
The CDC.
And then they used to be able to use just the water hose, and spray it down.
Yeah.
Now they got to do it by hand.
Yeah, I'm a bit perplexed and bamboozled by the fact that all of these, the CDC, the WHO, and the FDA, suddenly everybody's paying attention to these organizations that have been around for years. Mm-hmm. The FDA has been around longer than the WHO and the CDC. The FDA has been around since 1906, and the CDC's been around since 1946, and I think the WHO's been around since 1948. I did the research.
Right.
These are not new organizations. They're not exclusive. They've been around for forever. But people don't understand that until push comes to shove, where they have to pay attention to these things. And I don't know anymore. It just seems like such an old cul-de-sac argument to make with people that, these have always been around for a reason. They've been around for so long, and people are just now taking notice to them. I don't get it. But I will say too, it kind of puts a different perspective on this idea that, they tell you one day they tell you don't drink wine. It's not good for you. The next day they tell you to drink 2 glasses a day, that kind of a thing. That's all evidence-based, and now I'm starting to rethink my position on that and take that a little more.
Back when I was expecting my kids,
yeah,
the doctor would tell me, if you want to drink anything, drink a glass of wine a day.
Yeah.
And it won't harm the baby.
That's, yeah.
We'll go down my neighbors and drink the 6-pack and then with them.
Yeah, that
you
was,
and Jared.
Yeah, that we actually did that last week.
I stayed home.
I had a little cash in my pocket, and I understand. Yes, we're supposed to be doing the social distancing thing, but we went down to the neighbors the other day. I bought a couple 6-packs, and we were laughing and joking, and just having a jolly, gay old time, and it was pretty cool. I had fun, and then he says, "Well, hey man, Jared, there's a problem." "What's that?" "Those 6-pack bottles are empty. We need more." "I'll take that as a hint, neighbor." So he gave me some money. He says, "Go get some more." So we went up to the gas station, got some more, came back. I got drunk. And, but it was fun.
He said if you want to take you home, he would put you back of the tractor and drag you home.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a character. Matter of fact, I received a text from him a little while ago. He wanted me to come down and get a bag of salted peanuts. Still in the shells.
I can't eat them, though.
So I guess they're all for me.
Yeah, because I can't have
I like peanuts. Yeah, so it's been a busy last week, and we just gotta we'll get through this, but we just have to be patient, and we have to follow the rules, and we have to pull together like that. So we have to follow the rules. These executive orders aren't put in place just to make people miserable. The pandemic itself is making people miserable. But we have to be proactive.
But like I say, Jared, once this is all over with, people stay home. Once this is all over with, man, everybody goes outside, laughing and giggling, jumping up and down. All right, it's gone. Everybody's seeing each other. And
Yeah. It's just right now we have to, got to take it easy.
you gotta do what the man says.
Do what the man says. What are you talking about?
Man and a woman says, stay home. Man says, stay
I don't
home.
know what man he's referring to, but
Trump
Is he trying to put out a song there in his own
I
words?
don't know. But
Trump and
we just have to follow the rules and,
Go crazy.
go crazy sitting home. We're not stuck home. We're safe at home. It's big difference.
Well, I quarantined myself a long time ago.
I'm used to.
Only because it was winter.
Yeah, and I'm used to being home. Jay even pointed out, he said, Jared, you've always been a homebody. You really don't. Well, yeah, I mean, because, again, being sick, you get used to that. You get used to being in one place for a long period of time. So I don't mind being home. I feel safer here.
I can do it for so long, and then it's just.
Oh, of course. Like, I can't sit home for a lot. If I've got, which I don't have a vehicle, but I can go for walks. But if I had a gas tank full and a pocket full of money, there's no way I'm sitting around here. I'm gone. And
As long as you're not under quarantine.
well, that's what I'm saying. In any normative circumstance, I could just up and leave and say, Dad, I'll be back later. I'll have my phone. He'll say, okay, be safe. Have fun.
Even now you do that. Hey, Dad.
Yep.
I want to go here. Can I borrow the vehicle? Go for it, Jared.
But I will be getting a new vehicle soon. When I went to Louisiana last summer, I had to take out a loan, and I'm still paying that back. I've got it almost paid off. I'm getting close to having it paid off.
Yeah. What I wanted to mention too, Jared.
What's that?
Tell the people if they do receive that check, pay your rent and stuff because it's gonna bite you in the ass at the end. They're saying it's all forgiven. No. When you get
Oh,
that
you're
money
talking
back,
about the stimulus package
that's
that.
why they're giving you that money to pay your rent, pay your light bill, and all
Now-
that stuff, so you don't get behind.
Now, this is. I'm a bit confused about the stimulus package that Trump has been talking about. He wants to send all Americans, I think, $1,200, all adult Americans. He wants to send each of us $1,200. Now, I don't know if that, because I'm getting a lot of different stories here, which is why I didn't put this information out, but I've been hearing a lot of different stories. I heard that at one point it's the money that is earmarked for people who are drawing unemployment. They want to expand the unemployment benefits. Then I heard that it was for all Americans, adults, including us,
And ones that have kids.
and the ones that have kids. So I don't know what's true.
And now you're hearing, and then you've heard that people on SSI and disability are going to get it.
That's what yeah.
And you know what, Dad and you and I say? If we get it, we get it.
If I get it,
we
I
don't,
get it.
We don't.
Yeah.
It'd be helpful if we did, but
Yeah, if I get it, cool. If not, oh well, wasn't meant to be. But I wasn't gonna bring that up because there's still, everything's up in the air, and I don't want to pass along inaccurate information. But Dad did mention it. Yeah, there was talks about that. And even if they tell you that your payments for the month are forgiven, pay them anyway. That would be my suggestion, because they can very well, it can float, and they can make you pay double next month.
didn't you read that somewhere last night?
Unless there are exceptions, of course. Like we got our electric bill. They said that someone tried telling us that our electric bills were forgiven, but we still received the bill. We still owe it, and it'll get paid.
They're going to do like they did at Winter Protection.
The thing is, they can tell you that it's going to float, that it's forgiven, it'll float on.
Don't waiver it.
Pay it anyway. Just pay it anyway, because they're going to stick you.
Just like with evictions.
They want to forgive
you
evictions.
better
Yeah.
pay it because after everything's lifted, they can evict you if you're back.
Yeah.
They'll get you with
Yeah,
that.
he just read that the other day on that phone over there,
Yeah.
and it popped up.
It's a crazy time, I'm telling you. But they tell you that it's forgiven, but just pay it anyway. Just get it out of get it out of your hair. I've been here for about an hour and 20 minutes. I have a feeling that this will go away. That this is going to go, it's going to blow over. We're going to go back to our normal lives. And I hope that people will be more accepting of the fact that, hey, we get to see each other. We can hug and we can handshake. We can show public affection. We can do the things we used to do before all the shitstorm had taken over. Yes, but
Go down to the back porch and have a cold one.
But for right now, we have to put that on the back burner until this problem is resolved.
Yeah.
And that also includes not putting each other on a back burner. Tell you, that shit kind of hurts. There's people that I don't hear from unless I reach out to them first. And
But they're scared.
no, I'm not, it has nothing to do with being scared. They don't text me first. They don't message me first. I have to be the one to message them first. I'm kind of getting sick of it. This friendship is supposed to be a two-way street. How about reaching out to me sometime? I have an email address.
That passed away.
I have a cell phone number. I have Messenger. There are several different outlets where you can contact me, and you can't do it for some reason. I don't know. But I would like to hear from my friends, too, if possible. You're not too busy for everybody else. I don't think you should be that busy for me.
Oh, yeah.
Now, who died?
Grand Ole Opry star.
Yep.
Jan Howard. Grand Ole Opry legend dies at 91. I don't know who Jan Howard is.
She sang some good songs.
Yes, she did.
Country singer, songwriter, author, and a member of the Grand Ole Opry for 49 years, passed away on Saturday, March 28th in Tennessee. I've never heard of Jan Howard.
Yeah, she was way back in Dad's age and our time and
Oh, shut up.
The
my
60s.
time.
Yeah, I don't.
I just said it was my time too.
Well, she was 91 years old, so she was
up there in age.
She was up there. She lived a good life.
Mom used to listen to the Grand Ole Opry.
Well, yeah. I think everybody did back in the day. What is that? WSJ, I think is what it was, the radio.
Eating cracklings.
Yeah. Yeah. Mom.
They just need to stay safe and they need to listen to what people tell them.
Watch the Grand Ole Opry.
You want all of this?
Yeah.
You want all of this stuff to disappear? Stay home. They're trying to get a thing for it.
Honestly, I don't even think it's on anymore.
I don't think it is either.
I just got lucky. My mom had a VCR tape that had it on there.
Yeah, Mom and Dad, they used to, well, Dad I know. I don't know if Mom ever watched Grand Ole Opry. She probably did. She probably did. But, old Minnie Pearl, and
Yep.
Minnie Pearl was, of course, the old grandma with the price tag on her hat.
Grand Ole Opry.
Yep.
But then you had
Johnny Cash was on Hee Haw.
yep.
Archie Campbell,
Buck Owens.
And the banks, yeah.
Roy Clark.
I'm not sure about that. Like they're talking about that stimulus. That's supposed to come direct. And
Yeah, direct deposited, yes.
The thing is, they got to have a routing number, unless it just goes in all of them.
Unless, because they have to be tied in, somehow tied in with federal government. That's a federal.
They get it off your taxes.
No, but a credit union and a bank is a federal
Yeah.
owned
Yep.
business. So, because it doesn't matter the name of the, like I go through a credit union. There's several different branches of banks and credit unions. The credit unions are tied in with the NCIU, I think is what it is, or the NCIA or something. I don't know the letters, but it's all tied in with a national organization of credit union, just like the banks,
Well, somehow they'll figure
the
it out.
FDIC. The banks are all tied in with the FDIC. That is a national federal institution.
They'll figure it out.
So the government knows about that.
Yeah, they'll figure it out. But even if you get that money,
The NICU, that's NICU. See, I knew I'd get it wrong. The national...
even if you get that money,
No, maybe it is the NICU.
even if you get that money, are they going to have food or whatever in the store?
I don't know. The National Institute of Credit Unions, I think.
Everybody's going to start buying out with cash.
Or the National Credit Union Association, the NCUA. The NCUA. I don't know. There's all kinds of different letters, all kinds of different organizations. I have no FUCK idea what I'm talking about.
We don't know what the FUCK you're talking about.
I don't know. I'm just rattling off random shit. I don't know.
That's all right. But, yeah, people just got to worry, stay home. You're going to get past it. It's going to take a while.
But I think we'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, I've been here for about an hour and 30 minutes, at least, or closing in on an hour and 30 minutes. Getting close. But this was another good Sunday video update.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know. We'll be fine. We'll get through it. We just got to follow the rules and just take it easy. And I know everybody's going stir crazy right now, but right now this is what we have to do.
You don't have to go out and stay home. Unless it's a necessary...
Yeah, if you don't have to go out, don't, and find things to do around the house.
Need medicine or something like that, or whatever, they will bring it to you, I'm sure.
Oh, and reach out to me sometime, once in a while. I'd like to hear from you. I don't think that's too much to ask, because, I'm kind of getting sick and tired of being the first person to always reach out to everybody else. That goes both ways.
I know you're scared.
Because it has nothing to do with being scared. Everybody's home.
You're all home.
You're all fucking home. Hey, I'm out here too. I exist. Or don't I? It's kind of shitty when I have to beg and plead with my friends just to say hey, or call me on the phone or video chat. It's ridiculous.
Hey, how you doing, Jared? Everything all right? You strapped for everything? Yeah, we're good. It's nice to hear from you.
I mean, I'm not trying to sound like an asshole, but
Don't do it just because
yes, I
there's
am.
a virus thing going on either. Don't do it just because the virus thing going on either. When the virus wasn't here, you guys need to still get a hold of them.
They can say, well, Jared's not the greatest at getting in contact with us either. Well, when I do, you keep the conversation short and simple, because I'm not forking out money to everybody and bribing everybody to get them to like me, and I don't have a nonprofit organization where I'm willfully giving money away, and I don't have my own little society, my own little fucking cult. No, I'm not a shepherd. I'm not a follower, and I'm not following. I'm my own person.
You're a leader.
I'm not Superman. I'm not a leader, and I'm not being led. I'm just an everyday person that loves and cares about people. I would expect to hear from somebody out there, but I don't know. I shouldn't have to beg and plead, but whatever. No, I'm not a leader. I don't consider myself a leader. I don't consider myself a hero. That's not what my intentions are. It's not what my goal is. To just being friends with people and showing people that I care. But anyway.
Sorry, this does not pertain to your video, but I have a question for Dak. That I don't know if I'm supposed to take or not.
And it doesn't pertain to the video. She's not lying, folks. It's something to do with her medication. I think it was a pill bottle.
Yeah, I was taking it twice a day,
Yeah.
and now they've got the script as needed, and I'm confused.
For cold sore.
Because now they wrote the script completely different.
You don't have to take it every day. You don't have to take it every day.
It's like there was
As needed.
one of my friends needs diapers for her baby because she's running out of diapers. And after that, oh, I need tobacco too in tubes. No, diapers. You need fucking diapers for your baby. You don't need tobacco and tubes are not a necessity.
Baby stuff.
The baby needs diapers.
Yep.
You can do without your tobacco and tubes.
You need your baby diapers.
Your baby needs what it needs. Priorities, people, priorities. You get them together and get your shit together.
Sometimes
Priorities
I don't know if
straight.
they know how to do it. Some people, I can't say all.
My kids, when they needed stuff, they got what they needed. I made sure whether if I got anything or not, they got what they wanted or what they had to have.
Yeah, but what about these people that are getting 300-400 in food stamps and don't have any food in their
Yeah, I
house?
don't figure that out either.
Or people who get 1,100, 1,700 in Social Security and they're broke.
Yeah. Or taxes.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm smart with money and I spend within my means, and I don't have stupid hobbies or vices that's costing me money. Yeah, I might have a cold beer once in a while.
Yeah, but
A cold beer doesn't hurt. I'm not drinking every day.
our bills are paid too.
Yeah, all my bills are paid. They're all caught up, and and I make sure of that. I have good credit. My bills are paid. If I want to have a beer, I'll have a beer.
Yep.
But I made a joke last night. One more final joke before I wrap this up. I made a joke because we have 6 rooms in the house. I told Dad I'm going to buy a 6-pack and I'm going to put a bottle in each room. I'm going to go bar hopping.
Then you're going to get cleaned up and go back hopping.
No, I'm going to put see, you're ruining my joke. I'm going to buy a 6-pack. I'm going to put a bottle in each room of the house and go bar hopping.
Yeah.
Well, you better put
And-
2 bottles in each room.
Why?
One for you and one for Dad.
No, there's 6 rooms. There's the living room, the 2 bedrooms, the utility room, and the well, actually, yeah, the living room, the bathroom, the utility room.
Kitchen, front room.
Yeah, the living room,
Yep.
the kitchen,
Yep. 2.
2 bedrooms,
Yep. 2 bedrooms.
the utility room,
In the bathroom.
and the bathroom. So there's 6 rooms in the house. I'm going to put 1 bottle in each room and go bar hopping. I'm going to buy a 6-pack. And I hope I don't mistake the kitchen light as a street light and shoot it out, because I might get a little drunk.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's it for this week. Any last words?
Yeah. Be safe and take care of your family. Stay safe. Stay home.
Peace out, be safe.
And I will wrap this up by saying we will get through this. You guys just got to be patient. You have to exercise the social distancing thing and just be respectful of one another. Don't be so greedy. Give other people a chance to get the essential items that they need, and stop buying everything out from underneath of each other, because it's not helping anybody. You wouldn't like it if someone did it to you, so don't do it to anybody else. It's really that simple. But anyway, I love you all. Thank you for watching another video this week. I will be back in April. And matter of fact, I was supposed to go to an event, a local event, which had gotten postponed. It was a radiothon event. It got postponed to a later date and time because of the coronavirus pandemic. It's been postponed to a later date and time. I don't know what the later date and time is, but I'm sure I will be notified directly from a staff member who's a part of that. So I bumped the mic. So
You're just trying to
It's-
get everybody's attention.
it's just one more thing that we have to put on hold until this passes over, and then everything will be back to normal, and we'll all be dancing and shagging on the boulevard. So much love to all of you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next week. Peace out. Be safe and stay healthy. Wash your hands. See ya.